Hi, I'm Peter Souza, creator of QA Shadow Report, and this video is going to explain how a testing framework can be the basis for a QA team management strategy featuring QA Shadow Report and Cypress. How can a testing framework be the basis for a QA management strategy? Cypress and QA Shadow Report can help with stand-ups, daily, weekly, monthly, depending on how your team does it. Engineering collaboration, this keeps QA priorities and QA information at the top of everyone's mind. Organizing code, making sure the team has a very clear method, making QA a prominent force. This is important for planning, feature planning, test case management, and more. Let's start with the problem. If you're putting together a new team, have inherited a team, you may have been handed some disorganized test runs. It might be lacking in visibility. It might be that everyone on the team is responsible for maintaining the project, which also means nobody is actually accountable. And you may have long feedback loops for PRs. No one may know who to review and when to do it, how soon it needs to get done. All these different issues can really frustrate the team, the developers working with the team, the project managers trying to plan things, engineering managers trying to plan the product roadmap, and so on. So here we go with the solution. Cypress with QA Shadow Report. These two tools together provide visibility into the gritty details of test runs on a daily basis with weekly summaries and with monthly summaries. This is something that's easily accessible to everyone in the company or in the teams or in the engineering department. This also gives QA and engineering something to talk about every day. So we'll start with the project structure. This is the easy part. This may already be organized in some predictable way. Having something that everyone agrees on and understands is also important. In Cypress, project structure might look like this. This lets you run folders or even add it to a script, which is what I like to do. Run all the billing tests right here. The reason this is broken up into areas and feature is because this is how QA Shadow Report is going to assist us. Here in the example, you can see the area is authentication, spec is going to be forgot password, so that's the name here, and then each test within that spec, and then type, accessibility, UI, API. These are all going to be labeled based on this folder structure. So this is easy enough for the team to understand and follow. Everyone knows what's going on. Test categories. This is a little more unconventional, but this is going to help, I promise. QA Shadow Report has a list of example categories. So this is not uncommon, but the way it's labeled here is going to be a little unconventional. Let's check an example. Here is one of the tests, and you can see here the label. It does go into the string. It's not after the string in an object like some popular tagging packages place it. This goes directly into the string, and thereby the whole block of tests is part of the Sanity suite. And this can go into the it string here. It could go into a context if you wanted to put it in the context and then have a different context with a different label. That sanity or smoke or usability tag goes here into the category column. And this also allows us to run just the smoke, just the regression, or any other name you can think of. Now the big part, team names. So why does anyone need a team name? Team names help people focus on collective goals. It sort of removes responsibility from the individual and onto a team. It also gives people the idea that they're not alone in the fight. If an area belongs to James, give James a team name, Raptors maybe. The responsibility then falls from James onto the team. Even if it's a team of one, James might still appreciate that he's part of a team and that the responsibility belongs to the team. Team name is also better for scaling. If there's 4 people that are responsible for a feature, are you going to mention every 4-person list in every stand-up for any team meeting? Or you could just say, Team Raptors, go ahead, you're up. Also a little unconventional with the formatting. This is for QA or shadow report. We've already seen in this example how sanity was applied. Now the team name. This is the auth team. I have very basic and direct naming in this project. The auth team is responsible for everything in this describe block. But if this was maybe some kind of API test, maybe you would have the auth team responsible for the first half in the context block, and maybe a different team would be responsible in a different context block. This is flexible, but this is the format when using QA shadow report. Then you can have team name scripts. So run all the Raptors team tests. Run all the Buccaneers team tests. This is really handy for individual work, regressions, integration points, and so on. Manual test cases. Link them to automation. This is my strong recommendation, and this is also a QA shadow report feature. This keeps manual test cases up to date, because if it fails in automation, you know you have to update the manual case, or at least check that the manual steps are the same as the automation steps and that both are up to date. This is test rail formatting, but it can be for anything. It could be a D, it could be a TS, it could be anything, any number. You could even just add an ID to a spreadsheet and call that your test case number. In QA shadow report, manual case is filled in when that field is available in the test. So this gives us a quick reference, right? Team Baron owns this one and it's passing. It's great. It's part of the Smoke UI. Great. 824, that's good. If you had something failed, then you would know we need to check this. We also need priority and status on here. Do we have a priority on this? Is it urgent, medium, non-priority? What about status? Is someone working on this? Do we need to create a ticket for this? Here we can see a test report with some errors. Assertion error. Assertion, okay. Unable to find element. So it might be that we need to update these tests. We'll have to go into the code and find these. If we had a manual case number, we could also check the manual test to make sure steps are accurate. Daily stand-ups. So for QA shadow report, this gives you something to talk about every day. Here on the spreadsheet, you can go team by team. You could say, Team Baron, who's covering this case? And then you'll have a stand-up. Team Baron, you look great. Up here, you can have metrics. 2 of 3 are passed, 67%. Okay, Team Baron, how can we get those numbers up a little bit? Or all of your UI tests here are passing. We can say, all right, looks good. Are there some other tests you need to add, right? Whatever it is, you're going to have something to say. And that's just for QA stand-ups. For engineering stand-ups now, you can get a larger scope of work. If you have this one, you can say, all right, we have these failed tests. This is going to be a lot of work for whatever team is responsible for this. That team will need to keep these tasks in mind and mention them during their engineering stand-up if they're part of another team. This will give PMs a good scope of work, engineering managers a good scope of work, so they know how to plan for team velocity a little better, because QA is going to be busy. In QA shadow report, weekly reports are also optional. So you can have your daily reports here, which are action-packed, obviously, as every spreadsheet is by nature. You can have a summary of the week, and you can specify which day of the week you want this summary to be generated. If you want it on Friday, maybe on your Friday morning stand-up, you want to say to the team, great job, here are a few missing pieces. With the rest of this Friday, keep that in mind. Or what I like to do is generate these on Monday. Say, okay, here's what happened last week, and here's what we have to work on. All looking good, but Friday and Saturday we had this weird thing happen where only 5 of our tests ran. Can someone please check that out? This is what I like on Monday because this sets up our whole week. QA Shadow Report also has monthly summaries. This is going to be something for you to take a look at the bigger picture here. Trends, failing, passing, flaky, skipped, and you have a great history of what happened and when. So there's a change between the 5th and the 7th. We're missing the 6th. Maybe we didn't run a test on the 6th because it was broken and then repaired. Right? We have a good idea of what's going on for the entire month. Skipped, passed, failed, total tests. This is going to give you a really good bird's eye view on how to proceed, what kind of trends you're seeing here, and where you want to go. Where do you want to take the team? Are you increasing tests, decreasing tests, increasing fail rate, decreasing fail rate, something working, something's not working? This is also a good chance to talk to the team every month and say, hey, here's what we did. Here's where we're at. This is what we're noticing. What do you think? Right? It's about talking to the team. QA Shadow Report with Cypress. You can put this into CI/CD, get it into GitHub Actions, AWS. It generates reports daily, and they are labeled. If you specify a day of the week for a weekly summary, it'll generate a weekly summary. And it generates monthly summaries automatically based on the tests that ran during the month. So that's it. A complete QA team management process based on Cypress and QA Shadow Report together. Reports, visibility, cooperation, ownership, coordinated maintenance, the whole shebang. Try it. QA Shadow Report with Cypress.